you go. There you go. It has now set up. Let me play the goofy song. I'm playing Shining Lala, because why not?
Alright.
Alright. There you go. Whatever. Just background music. To fit the stage. Hello, everybody. Nobody's watching right now, but for those of you watching later on, welcome back to the Gundam Gquuuuuux episode discussion. Today we're doing 2 episodes, 3 and 4, because we missed last week. And with me is my partner in crime.
That's me.
Shugak. I am a little sick today, so excuse me. But you know, fuck it. How'd you like this episode, bro? Well, these 2 episodes. We're really talking about 2. I guess I'll explain what happened.
Yeah, go ahead.
We've essentially just introduced.
Already in here. Oh,
there's people here already. Switch to live chat. It's Grieve. Holy shit, this episode. True, they were pretty interesting. Kimaru Alvaro. Fuck, I haven't seen episode 4 because I'm helping my girlfriend with uni homework. That's fine. You're basically experiencing a Gundam moment right there if you kill each other. We join Machu in episode 3 as Machu and her little boyfriend that she met get entangled in the world of, what is it? It's not dog battles. What's it called?
clan battle.
Yeah, clan battle. And the show reveals its true hand at us, which is that it's a sports show. Not really. Yeah, what do you think of these 2 episodes?
Do you wanna, just in the interest of like being accommodating to people, do you wanna just start with 3 and then move into 4?
Yeah, of course.
After we're done with 3.
Sure.
All right. So 3, as we all well know, is it's just a part of the movie. So I'd already seen it, but
Oh yeah, we're past film.
yeah. At this point, we are. The thing about like the first chunk of this show, and it almost kind of just dovetails immediately to discussion of episode 4, but I feel like the prologue of it, what was packaged as the movie, was a little bit too slow. Didn't really develop quickly enough to like give good grounding.
I am definitely interested in still going back and watching the movie once it's released. Especially since you've said it has like stuff that's still not in the show. Is that still the case?
Yeah.
I see. Postboy in chat.
All the shit about the Zek Nova. Don't worry about it.
I think they do mention at some point a new Zek Nova could happen if we allow new types to fight, essentially. And I was like, that's surely that'll be explained. Postboy in chat just finished episode 4. Nice. We should have Postboy at some point in the podcast.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. So yeah, past film. We're in new territory. The true cucking begins now. So Machu, literally just girl Camille, equally as horny apparently. Just sees one hot guy once and just dedicates her life to him, which is kind of interesting. But yeah. What can we talk about? I definitely do feel like episode 3 felt a lot more like
Tamaki. About a couple things privately. Do you want to like go back over shit like the state design or the my fuck ass Space Harrier comparison?
Oh yeah, the Space Harrier. Go on. Yeah, you go. Just
it's really strange the CG portions of the battle scenes in this show, because I feel like they're operating in a different way than I think like the normal mentality for CG anime usually operates, which is that like it's not interested in moving a space around. Like it's not interested in presenting you with a space and then having the characters move around in that space in tandem with the camera, giving you like a further perspective on that space. It's basically just a fucking wind tunnel. It's basically just a bunch of speed lines going towards the vanishing point,
Yeah.
and like the the robots when they're fighting are just kind of going back and forth away and towards the camera and like spinning around in this like strange little wind tunnel vortex. It's it's like a real choice in a way. I don't know if I completely like it, but it does like weirdly kind of remind me of the orientation that you see in Space Harrier,
Hmm.
which is this old ass Sega arcade game.
Yeah, it's
It's got a
just
certain like
shmup perspective of like shit is happening
yeah,
in this like tunnel. I understand. I
yeah,
do kind of agree that I'm not the biggest fan of the fights so far, which is kind of weird because you'd think uh, you'd think with the introduction of the mechanics of clan battle that this would be an opportunity to sort of like chip at the sort of like logical extensions of like what a clan battle can be. Just like the mechanics of it, a sort of game design approach to this sort of thing, which is kind of why I joke that it's a sports show. It's because now
yeah.
we have like rules. Um, it does kind of show that like you know how well Gundam and just Tomino shows um, do when you have just fights in space. Now, granted, I feel like most Tomino shows evade the idea that you're just fighting in space. They also sort of like approach it from a mechanical point of view. So, the first fight with like Char and Amuro is it's not just them shooting at each other in space. You kind of have like the moment of Char getting really far away from Amuro, and Amuro trying to shoot at them, and then Char says to like his teammates like, no, if we don't move, it's harder for them to shoot us because we're just
Yeah.
such a small target right now.
And beyond that, the basic setup is it's more specifically to sort of control space between the two ships that the robots are deployed from.
Yeah,
So there's like always this sense of like, okay, we're this far from the white base and we're this far from the Musai.
yeah.
So there's like this.
In
It's
a,
never
in a strange way, it's
just like
always been sort of sporty because we have these like two very obvious goals
yeah,
almost,
Ben.
right?
Yeah,
And then you have the players in between. Um,
yeah,
and then we have the masterful fight at the end of the original show, where it's also a space fight, but they use asteroids in Char's counterattack.
yeah,
Also, they use asteroids to sort of like play around with the idea of like getting off and
yeah.
on. Like I always forget his name. The mustache guy from the first show. He's really cool. Uh, he fights in the blue one, the blue Zaku. What is his
Oh,
name?
Brum Morale,
Yeah,
jeez.
Rambaral. Rambaral like gets out of
I was
the.
thinking of the really old guy
There's a
who fights
couple.
in like the first model Zaku, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's not him.
Yeah, but
Wrong. Yeah,
Rambaral like it's like the first guy that like gets off the mech in like it's in sort of like a threatening way, like just does so
yeah,
and kind of gets out and fucks shit up, uh, which is sort of like an iconic technique in and of itself. You see in like even in like Gurren Lagann, the end of it, or the end of like the first half is like the big bad guy just like gets out and beats the shit out of Shimon. Um, but yeah, they always play around with it. So far, I feel like we've only had like really three fights. The fight
yeah,
in the ghetto, the first clan battle, and then the second clan battle. And the first clan battle was against just like mooks, just like faceless
yeah,
mooks. And it basically just worked to be like Machu is just learning how to fight. But what's his name? Shariabu is like, oh well, she's pretty good at evading though, which is already
yeah.
a pretty high achievement. for somebody that's an amateur. Uh, the show does love like the its main language when it comes to fights is using new typisms, which I don't like. Just
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
yeah, just like you got like the theremin or whatever the fuck it's called, um, and it's just essentially just a way for like some sort of team attack to happen. Uh, Not
Yeah.
the biggest fan of it. I hope they kind of elaborate on it or iterate on it a little bit more. But yeah, we do get we weirdly get like the Lala fight kind of this early on. Maybe not,
Yeah.
right? It does feel like it's already playing to the archetypes of Gundam.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's very obviously like homaging basically all of the imagery back to back
Oh yeah, there's even like
in the final
the
moment of the
yeah
fight. So it's
the use
obviously
of
supposed to be
the
of
Lala
that
fight.
mind, but it's
Yeah,
I mean it's weird though because it's obviously like in the point in the story where it's supposed to be like the way the structure of Tomino anime or Gundam anime generally works in my mind is that like the big early crossing of the threshold is the moment where the main character has to kill somebody else
yeah,
and grapple with that. And this is like sort of functioning as that, but it's also is not that
yeah.
because
Machu didn't
Machi
kill
doesn't
her.
kill anybody. She just watches Shuji
Yeah,
uh,
kill the witch.
really like effortlessly kill someone, and it's a different kind of emotional reaction, which I think is kind of interesting. But like I don't know, it's weird. I am glad that the show is moving along a little bit more.
Well, yeah, to you, I
um,
guess it was pretty boring because this was all like just movie stuff. I think the pacing has been pretty good. You get the introduction to the characters, the introduction to the backstory. You could have like mixed episode three and one together, but it is sort of a weird setup already. The idea that Machu is just this girl that ends up doing these like underground battles, so giving it time is probably for the best. Um, yeah, yeah. I was gonna say something about the directing. Oh yeah. Well, on the topic of like the new typisms, not not my favorite fight so far. I don't like the way things are sort of like set up. They're sort of using limited animeisms of like
in
the
episode
time.
4 or 3.
Either of them. They're sort of
Okay.
the language that they're using to like tell the fights. Um, is sort of weird.
It's
You
like extreme early Tomino.
Yeah, it's sort of. I mean,
Although maybe even like more aggressive than that.
it does kind of feel like
Which I don't
it's trapped in.
think I dislike in on principle, but I don't know, it is weird.
Yeah, it does feel like it's kind of trapped in reference, right? We're sort of
Yeah.
having like an early Universal Century Gundam show. Therefore, we need to like have these like oldish anime techniques like
It's not even
representing.
a matter of it being early Universal Century or anything. Like all the other Universal Century shows don't give a shit about imitating Tomino's directing technique.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know. Either way, it's strange that it's here.
it it does feel like this is that's a good actually that's a good interesting perspective. So there's definitely been a lot of Gundam shows, right? A lot of Gundam shows that deal with Universal Century and deal with these like
Yeah.
this sort of like time period slash vibe of like the early Gundams. I have not seen stuff like War in the Pocket, but from what I understand, that is kind of like the timing, right? Is that it's a similar like
Yeah.
time place, but
War in the Pocket, 8th MS Team,
yeah,
Thunderbolt, which I recently watched, is technically not Universal Century. It's supposed to be like alternate Universal Century, like this is,
yeah,
but it's completely not interesting with that premise.
yeah.
Insofar as like it's basically just military porn. Though really, uh, a lot of Universal Century Gundam that isn't directed by Tomino is basically just military porn.
Yeah. But this does seem to be, obviously it has like the remake isms or Anno or remake of Evangelion isms, right? Type of thing
Mm.
going on. But so it does kind of feel like a show that's it's sort of more meta in its references. It's sort of like approaching it from a more modern point of view, you know,
Yeah.
to use
There's like absolutely no expectation with this show that you haven't seen the first one, or that like you're supposed to be doing anything other than thinking about what's like what the differences are between this and the first
yeah.
series.
It's more in talk with like a meta sort of like comparison sort of way of directing, which again is very in line with the way Ano kind of does his remix. Um, so it is interesting that this might be the first show, like you mentioned, that it's sort of like has to grapple with, you know, Gundam is Tomino, Gundam is Tomino's techniques. We have to sort of tap into them, and that's why you get so many like references, like the new
Well, the thing is
typisms and
that
shit.
like there's it's not entirely like that. Admittedly, this is like partly informed by an interview that I read, but Tsurumaki is, I mean, like, how to put it? They did a whole interview with like a bunch of the primary staff of the first handful of episodes where they discussed like like normal interview stuff, but as an added thing, they also were asked what their favorite Gundam series were and what their favorite mobile suit designs were,
They'll say
and
like none
I
of the Tomino ones. That'd be funny.
they don't. They basically don't say any of the Tomino ones. Particularly Tsurumaki uh does not list them.
Hmm. What do you
Like
like?
he actually lists like I want to say like War in the Pocket and F91. Sorry,
Yeah.
F91 is a Tomino one, but still.
Would you
Let me
say the
actually just grab
perspective?
it and check.
Would you say the
Yeah,
perspective of
it's Pokusen and F91.
well, F91 is Tomino, first of all,
Yeah, but it's
and it's
in that way
great,
it's
and
interesting
it's
insofar as it's
underrated,
like it
frankly,
it's pretty separate from
from
First
UC.
Gundam in terms of technique because obviously it's like a movie and doesn't it's like trying to do different things with like
Hmm.
just even just like how many frames are are used for individual motions and that kind of thing.
I could see that being their favorite. Obviously, I don't know Kazuya Tsurumaki as a person, but depending on when you grew up, I could see that being a bit more magical. I feel like we have this like odd perspective of like Zoomer,
Well,
like old
no,
anime
it's
fans and
well
shit.
with Tsurumaki, based off of his age, it would have been pretty contrarian because if I recall correctly, he was born in like 1965, um, which would have made him like a bit old for F91. It's not like he would have been a kid like watching it in the theater on release. Um, and certainly like Pokusen indicates like an initial familiarity with Gundam that goes outside of like the
The
period
show,
of
just
Gundam
watching like the
slump.
shows and stuff.
Yeah.
I definitely can't see to just basically from Fully Cooley like the perspective of really liking F91, especially at the beginning. That
Yeah.
that beginning fight of F91 sort of feels in line with the sort of things you'd see in specifically Tsurumaki's Gainax work. Um, d- just a sort of like materialism to the environments that's like nice and crunchy and destructible in the same way that like
Mm.
the F91 one is.
Yeah, I can
I
see
mean,
that.
there's the fact that like the giant bullets flying down, though that is like a Gundam thing, a 79 thing too.
Yeah, it's in first Gundam.
But like when they fall in FLCL, there's a sort of like big focus on like the impact of it and the idea of like uh, an item of this size is
Well,
falling down on the street.
I
Whereas like
I
that
actually
feels
almost
very in line
completely
with
disagree
F91.
because like
Yeah.
I get what you mean in terms of impact. I would say that there's like visual impact, um, partly just due to the screen shake and like how it sort of uses like this um fuck is it called, like the slow motion effect where it the shell casing falls into the ground and everything slows down for a moment, um to really emphasize it. I would say that it's like that in F91 it's similarly emphasized, but only in terms of like narrative emphasis because it has like an immediate repercussion where like they have to take care of this baby right now. But in First Gundam, it's still not super, like it's not narratively emphasized, and it's not really visually emphasized all that much.
Yeah, it's
But
kind
I
of
would
just like a
say that
detail that
like
falls
just the
into it.
visual composition is like
It's more
a
similar
lot
to
more similar
Fooly.
to Furikuri.
Yeah, but I feel like it's not. So it definitely has the narrative aspect in F91 because you know the baby, but I feel like the entirety of the F91 introduction is essentially very in line with the dogmas that Fully Cooley has about impact. Like there is just a strong focus on visual impact and on the visual impact of things in a very like grandiose and like blockbustery sort of way, and Fully Cooley just falls in line with that in my mind. But I'm not gonna. I mean, I do agree that it is more in line with like the composition and shit like that to the original. Though, you know, F91 already was sort of like nodding towards like this idea from the original when it made that choice. So it's weird. Like it makes more sense that Tomino wouldn't literally reference the shot if he wanted to touch up on an idea. It makes sense that
Yeah.
like it was already his idea. He doesn't need to reference the shot. Whereas like you know otaku anime specifically is very in love with the idea of like making references very clear, so shots will
Like
be referenced.
stylistic reference rather than
Yeah,
like what could sort of be said to be like not literary illusion but like narrative illusion of like, oh, this same event
yeah. It's
happens.
oh,
It's
there's a show where there's mechs and also like the shells are big and fall. It can't. That's not enough for like a lot of like otaku based stuff. It kind of has to be like a very direct, easy to
particularly
catch
for
reference,
like the
like Gainax.
tradition of Gainax is to
Yeah,
have this extreme level of attention to detail of like exact replication of
yeah.
the of like shots and the timing of shots, the composition of shots. That really kind of just goes back to like Ano's Ultraman short.
And I guess it goes back to
Fucking
this, right? Because this is basically the show that's the replication of techniques and the replication of ideas and shots. Uh, though
Sure.
it is sort
Yeah.
of being its own thing in some ways. The screenshots shown right now is that of Machu and the dog. I like that scene, the Machu dog scene. It was very cute, very
Yeah.
like modernly animated too, sort of almost like
Yeah.
rotoscopy. Though it's just like it just has a lot of frames, uh, which again is very modern in its own way.
Mm.
But yeah, good stuff, good stuff. I guess we should talk about the Mirai character, right? Like, not Mirai. She is like Asian, like Mirai. Therefore, she's drawn
Equal.
similar to Mirai. I did sort of wonder, like, is this just straight up Mirai for a sec? But
Yeah.
no, but no. Did you? How, okay,
Yeah.
how big was your heart attack when the title of the episode showed up and it said Majo? Did you want to kill yourself? Points microphone at your face.
No, I knew this show was in production for like forever, and it's I don't know if it was involved with Suisei no Majo, then that would be a choice, and we'd just see how it goes.
But it wasn't basically. It was just like a.
Yeah,
It was
of
just a
course.
girl who is a majo. Um. Oh, let's see. Good old chat saying it is demarking inheritance, like samurai taking kanji of their lord otaku declare their clan by reference. And then somebody says funny looking dog, which was grief. It's, yeah. The dog was funny looking. The dog was basically a Pokemon, which is funny because that's you know the influence of the designer. I felt it there. I felt it in
Yeah.
some ways. I was like, dude, this is just a little Pokemon guy. Which is
Yeah.
good. What else? What else do you want to talk about?
Um. So the director of the fourth episode is Araki Tetsuro, um, who is he's the fucking director of Death Note and Shingeki no Kyojin, and
Whoa.
I I mean obviously this is like a writing thing, but it made me think about the amount of explanation for tactics in the fights, particularly in that episode, is very high.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of like very literally like very very detailed explanation of like what's going on tactically, and it's something that Tsunumaki mentioned that he wanted to get away from, or like a choice that Tomino makes generally is to like be very sparse with detailed
Yeah.
explanations
Yeah.
of tactics because it's like dramatically it's boring.
Basically.
It's not like unless you're making a show literally just functionally completely about combat and sort of about the fetishization and beauty of combat, uncritically, it kind of gets in the way. I like I like some shonen stuff, some Naruto and the like, but like it doesn't work for everything. And I like that Tomino has like these incredibly like if you're really looking at them, you can find that the fights in Tomino anime are generally pretty technically complex, tactically complex,
Yes.
but it's not like
It's never explained.
it's not belabored. He
Yeah.
doesn't beg for your attention to it. But this really wants you to notice
Well,
that
that
they're
is
using like
that.
this hook shot to swing around,
Yeah.
and it is a cool fight idea. But like I don't know.
Yeah. It's
I feel like
it's not enough to like explain it
even
and like basically just have
even
that be the
beyond
whole
just the
thing.
taste of like wanting it to be more explained than Tomino, I still feel like a better balance could have been found where like I don't know.
Funny thing, we've been watching a couple Pokemon episodes ourselves on our free time, um, and we noted in Pokemon, man, it really is funny how these fights all happen in the same environment, this like bland environment, and they constantly
Yeah,
require explaining. And the fact that we're watching the show that's like, it looks very Pokemon-ish at times. Um, it did make me think like, oh, it's kind of like a Pokemon battle. But now that you mention it, perhaps it does also feel that way because of the environments, like we were saying, and that is kind of like the thrill and the fun of having like varied and interesting environments. Which I mean, just goes to kind of show like why most Gundam shows like eventually try to get to Earth as soon as possible, apparently, and spend a lot of like the runtime in Earth, even though like it does seem to be like a lot of people really prefer the setting of like space colonies and stuff like that. It's just probably because you can just make more interesting fights in Earth, and
there's an extent to which that's true, but like I think that the probably the act well I think that probably the most interesting fights are the ones that take place on like in asteroids or in some kind of like
yeah,
weird infrastructure like space infrastructure like that.
yeah,
In
yeah,
open space, oftentimes it's pretty difficult to make it interesting. Obviously, the atmospheric reentry episodes are always really really great, but it just I don't know. I like
I do feel like an
in some
asteroid
ways
would
Earth
help.
Earth
Yeah,
is good and useful as a setting, but at the same time, a very large number of robot anime take place on Earth.
yeah.
Um,
It doesn't.
I think
It's like
it's
you
good that
say. It
Gundam
doesn't
has like
have.
a balance of both.
It's like you say. It doesn't have to be Earth necessarily. An asteroid could help. A structure could help. Right. F-91 itself, like we were talking, has uh, some of the more interesting parts of the beginning of the of the movie are these interesting like fights inside like the dome of the space colony and like just like dividing between like the inside and the outside of the colony. You can have a lot of those fights be really interesting. Now, obviously, I could understand why they don't want to have like colony destroying fights this early in the show, but
Yeah.
I definitely would like them to, at the very least, introduce like asteroids or something like that because it would make the choreography a little more interesting. They did you did mention the hook thing. They did have that, and it is interesting, but it's definitely not enough to carry like an entire episode's worth of a fight. Um, it does feel like the kind of thing like in a Tomino show that they would not explain it. Therefore, it would just be like a quick, interesting little
Yeah.
technique or tactic that you'd be rewarded if you catch it, and you're like, oh shit, they did that. That
And
was
it's
really cool.
the, probably my actual biggest difficulty with the fight is just that like I in the abstract I think like narratively dramatically it's good that Machu does not get to choose to have this person killed, but I think the way that they get her to that point is awful because they just have the other like person like the Mav of Shiko just hold
Like, hold on to her.
the foot of Machu's robot the whole fight, apparently
No, she
completely
holds the.
disabling
I
her
thought
the whole
she was
fight.
holding the foot of the Macho girl. I actually did
No,
think that it was Machu, but then I realized like, wait, isn't she grabbing like the other girl?
no,
It was Machu. She was trying to. Well, why is she saying
yeah,
like that person's not your enemy? I guess like because like the other girl was like she only wanted to kill like the red Gundam, I guess. Uh,
yeah.
yeah, sure, okay. Um, I do think that the whole point was just, which is weird because like the character sort of doesn't give that vibe, but this is like a step to showcase that like Machu is like becoming sort of obsessive about this guy. Now I don't know
Yeah.
if this is where it's gonna go, but it does seem to be like she's sort of like it's fine that she didn't kill him because he committed this like act very coldly too of something the Machu doesn't want to do and doesn't feel ready to do, and it's obviously gonna be like you said, it's like a classic narrative structure of like Gundam shows and Domino. But like eventually she'll have to kill somebody, maybe. So like her seeing, this guy that she's like obsessing
Imagine if
over,
not though.
that'd be interesting too in some ways, right?
Uh,
If they play into it in
I'm
some interesting way.
I'm gesturing towards some other Gundam shows that
Oh, okay.
do that,
I don't know. I'm not
and
familiar.
are quite disliked for doing that.
I see.
But don't worry about it.
Um, but it is sort of like the ending has a creepy tone to it because she's sort of like this is what that something like that type of sort of like coldness, that type of like uh efficiency at killing in this game is what I need to do to get like closer to him because I don't know this man, but I'm like obsessed over him. And apparently the only thing that's gonna tie us right now is this game, and the way he's playing this game is that he's aiming to kill. So that can be interesting. I think that I'm interested in seeing that. I don't think it's bad that she didn't kill him. I think it's probably okay
No,
because I have
I think
faith
it's
that it'll
like
pay off.
probably the most interesting narrative choice.
Yeah,
I just don't like that the entire fight sort of um, tactically contorts itself to have that ending.
yeah. It is a little contorted. Yeah, though I don't think Tomino is necessarily against even doing stuff like that, like having these little things like, oh, obviously this is like the sort of pebble in your shoe that's gonna allow me to like set the fight up in the way I want it to end. But it is lame. Again, you sort of have this like new mechanic with
No,
Mavs.
you see.
Yeah.
Nah, Tomino's the way that Tomino can figure out how to make a fight end in an interesting way without it really
I feel like
with it like all tying together with the rest of the fight is like amazing. Like
sure. I feel like it's go on.
consider the fight in like this. Sorry, I'm about to go off on something. Do you want to say some shit?
No, I mean like I don't. I feel like it's not rare to see to be watching a Tomino show and then there's obviously these characters where things are supposed to be happening to them in a fight, and then there's other mooks, and they're like holding off like Amuro or Camille, and then these other two characters are having like their moment, and then it's like, why can't Camille like get to them? It's like, okay, he's fighting like the mooks. In that way, Machu being held down like that is not necessarily that weird, but you could have done it better, like you said. But go on, go off, Queen.
Uh, I guess all I was gonna say is that like in episode 2 of First Gundam, it's great. It's the fight is real good because Amuro just sucks and he gets raped, and then the fight functionally ends because he finally successfully hits something with the beam rifle, and Char immediately decides, I need to get the fuck out of here because that completely, immediately destroyed something. And so, what's interesting about the resolution of the fight is that Amuro says to himself, or rather, Char says to himself, oh, I have to leave because that could kill me immediately, and I just need to leave and replan. Whereas Amuro thinks, I can't chase after him because I'm out of ammunition for this gun, which is the entire reason that Char is leaving. It's like dramatically, it's dramatically all there.
It's cohesive.
It's and it speaks to like the lack of information between the two of them, because if they had the information that both of them have, then obviously Char would just win.
I also think that as I was watching the episode, it did sort of realize I did sort of realize that like, man, they're sure getting good at like dodging bullets and lasers and stuff like that. Nobody sure is getting hit, which is like weird. Like if you think about it for a second, it's like, okay, Gundam is a show where you pilot this big, hefty, gigantic death machine, but also like you're fighting other death machines. So really, every one of these things is like fairly delicate. Like you just kind of die from one bad shot, and it doesn't even have to be like a particularly good shot. So centering the show around this sport where you fight these two things, I'm surprised they didn't limit them more. I get that you wanted to have the joke of like Machu being like, "What the fuck? There's guns," and then being like, "Yeah, we're broke. Sorry, you just deal with it." Because it also kind of like makes Machu a little more impressive when she wins. Because it's like, oh, she won against dudes with guns. But I think it was kind of a mistake to add guns, because now it feels weird. Like, right, like you kind of, if you're gonna have a sport where these two people have to fight in mobile suits, you'd think the first thing they'd do is like not have guns, because you could just end a mobile suit fight with like shooting each other. But obviously, we never see like mobile suit fights outside of Machu's so far, at least. So we don't get to see like that like quick brutality of it. So we don't get to think about it. Now it becomes this show about like, or this game about like dodging bullets. But apparently Machu is like extremely unique and important because she's fairly good at dodging bullets. I just think mechanically, the mechanics of clan battle can be interesting, but it just doesn't feel like they thought about them that much so far, because they're not really leaning into it, and I wish they kind of did, and I hope they still do. But yeah, we should probably read chat.
I've been reading it, but I haven't thought of anything to say.
Okay.
Sorry.
I guess I'll read it by myself, and like you can, if I find anything good, I'll comment on it. Oh, we haven't watched at least I haven't seen G-Reco.
Yeah.
I don't think you have it either, so don't spoil it.
I've not. I'm aware that Araki Tetsuro did an episode of that.
To its non-explaining credit,
He's funny. He's talked about his experience doing that episode. It was like right after Shingeki no Kyojin, and his stated reason for doing it is because he wanted to get scolded by Tomino and learn from him.
Don't we all? To its non-existent.
Yeah, the archetype of the young man that wants to be scolded by an older man.
By an older father figure. It's true. The fight sort of lets you see that the Majo left gun suspended in space. They're showing on a timer to limit the Red Gundam's movement. Cool bit of it's hard to follow. Yeah, that actually, you're right. You're correct. That does happen. I did have a hard time
Yeah.
following it.
I do think that like the amount of tactical, like how much tactics are diverging from Tomino Gundam is kind of interesting, and so like there's that, but there's also just the among multiple things. There's the idea that like the Gquuuuuux is designed so that it doesn't have feet. It's like completely oriented towards space travel and is not really designed for Earth. Uh, so
Yeah,
it has like the ver I think they're verniers on its feet. I might be incorrect
it's a
though,
cool
but
design.
yeah, it's interesting and it's generally just like it's kind of oriented around the idea that like an enormous amount of how things tactically work has like been completely changed just because of the
The war ending.
placement of the Red Gundam on Zeon's side, which
Hmm.
is kind of neat. It's kind of neat. It's
Yeah,
interesting
you
that
do get like the Gelgoogs and like the the Federation Gelgoogs and stuff like that, but it's like a weird like
it's functionally just
copy. Yeah,
a Gene.
yeah. It's like a weird copy of like certain things like mix and matched in like an odd way. So like it sort of is implying that like the history of the mechanical design of Gundam has changed. Uh,
Yeah.
maybe to
Related to
favor
that, what did you
Xeon.
think of the Moss Khan cameo?
That's the Mirai's ex-husband, right?
What? No, it's
I don't. I'm bad with Gundam names. What?
he's not her ex-husband. He's just like the engineer.
Didn't he want to marry her? Am I
Did
thinking of the
he?
wrong guy? Isn't the guy in the third episode that Shia Bull like talks to? Isn't like the? I thought that was just like the dude who wanted to get married to Mirai.
No, that's Cameron Bloom.
Oh, is that not the
I
same
was
guy?
talking about bro, Moss Khan. You
I,
don't know Moss Khan? The
it's
fucking
not coming to mind. I'm sorry.
okay of the one of the very first screenshot that I posted to you. That dude is from the original show.
That dude is.
He
I didn't
made
even
the
know that.
magnetic coating for fucking Amuro's Gundam in the first
Dude,
series.
how am I supposed to remember this? I'm sorry. This random
Because his
fucking
design is
Mukai.
fucked up and super weird.
It is a weird design. I did take note like this guy looks weird. I guess like, we were trying to like ape into Gundamisms and Yasuikoisms for like old people, but we're having a hard time drawing old people guys. Uh, we got the Pokemon guy.
No,
Not
he
not that
looks
many
like
old
shit
people
in
in
the original
Pokemon,
show.
so they just made him look like shit
He
here.
comes in like after Yasuhiko got ill, so he's not designed by Yasuhiko. He looks super fucking weird.
He does look odd. To the guys that don't have that image, it's the dude that talks to the Majo and like when she's in the Federation uniform.
Just
Uniform.
put the image on screen.
I don't want it. Take me a while to set it up. Okay, I don't want to fuck with it. But yeah, it's making it sound as though there aren't actually any rules at all. Yeah, the show definitely is sort of like leaning into like it's junkyard fighting, so you don't think about the rules too much. It's still a shame though like you set it up as a sport, uh, and it's not it's not sporty. The saddest thing is
I want it
regarding.
over with as quickly as possible. I don't give a fuck about clan battles at all.
Mm,
I
it's
want to get
it's
into
in.
like an actual war situation. I feel like this is just like a waste of time prelude, and
I
it's
wonder if
fine
we
that they're
are.
doing it for a little while, but like I don't know. I think it's stayed its welcome, and it's on its way out, probably in literally the next episode.
I didn't see the preview. Um, does it imply that we're going like straight into war shit? It feels like an odd time.
The next episode preview has them getting confronted by the white base staff, the Xeon white base staff.
I feel like. I mean, we could. Maybe that wouldn't be too bad because yeah, it's true. They're not really doing much with clan battles. Um, yeah, I don't know. Maybe would be interesting, I guess. Postbo says, oh, that fucking guy. Head engineer guy.
He's based. We love Moscon. I pogged so hard. It's so lame, but it's I saw him and I was like, holy shit, it's him.
I did not remember this cookie character. I'm sorry.
You're such a fake fan. You don't even know Moscon.
I am. But it's okay. I pogged when like the Amuro's dad little thing showed up. That's enough, okay? I'd buy the merch. I'd buy the little key card that absolutely doesn't do shit. Yeah, it's an SSD.
No, it's not an SSD, it's like an HDD.
Yeah, some sort of. You probably have as an SSD too. Araki Storyboards had over 100 notes added to them by Tomino. Like, this is nauseating, and I want them to understand the direction of the scene. So I guess he got what he wanted. That is so fitting. I'm also ready for some shit to go down. Clan battle is okay, but also snore. I feel like nothing's set up to leave clan battles yet. Not only would I actually want them to make a good clan battle.
No,
but I feel like nothing's
like
set up.
Literally done with clan battles next episode. Trust me. Like
the children yearn.
Clan battles is like you hit the head. You don't really need to kill the other person. It's just a sport thing. And then in the episode after they introduce what a fucking clan battle is, they have another clan battle where the threat of violence is introduced into the story. Like, clan battles as they were initially described are over, for sure, functionally. I mean, like, to not... Like, I was saying even before before episode 4, if they don't move out of clan battles really soon, it would be a waste of time. And they're moving out of it.
Maybe.
Like,
okay.
This to me is indication that it's like, okay, we're done. We're getting to like the part of the story where the characters have to go to the rest of the world, and their actions are going to have consequences for like the rest of fucking society.
So you do think it's just gonna have like a Tomino structure overall?
I mean, even this is like a little divergent from Tomino's structure, but I think it's gonna move in that direction. Like, it would be strange for them. I mean, like,
I guess it makes sense. It's not too different from, like, I don't know, like the start of like Double Zeta or
20
something.
minutes of Char doing stuff and then just like have no like broader political, and like Char literally reshaping the entire fucking world purely serendipitously, and just like not continue that thread at all.
I feel like we could have.
Strange.
I feel like we could have
and
one more.
Within this episode, they also mentioned that there's like a conflict between, like, obviously Xeon won, but there's a conflict between Kishilia and Giran, which I think is going to be. I would think that's pretty interesting, because obviously, like, the conflict that exists between them in the first series is like fucking 6 minutes long, but it's an interesting conflict of like like Giran's eugenicist ideology, but Kishilia is more actually interested in like the actual applications of new type theory. Like there's kind of an ideological underpinning there that could be explored, and I imagine that'll be interesting, and that'll be like the main fulcrum of like what the characters have to think about for most of the rest of the show.
I feel like we could have one more clan battle. I just feel like you can have one more clan battle.
They're gonna have one more. It
has to be like the final clan battle, and then everything goes to shit.
And it's like, we're gonna be late for the clan battle. Hey, stop abducting me. There's a severe penalty if we're not on time for the clan battle. There's just like, they're gonna have the clan battle get interrupted, and that's it.
All right, I can go with it.
It's rule of threes. It's not rocket science, brother.
It's okay. I just need my clan battles, bro. I'm just so captivated by clan battles. The children yearn to leave the clan battles.
No, the children yearn for clan battles, but you must you must put a bit of poison in such works.
In your child's soup.
That's a quote.
Literally.
That's a fucking Ano Tomino interview quote for
Yeah,
those
I was like, that sounds like
who
a
don't have
Tomio
that shit
quote.
memorized. Yeah.
Well, uh, hopefully next time we got some great end of clan battles. Nico, you are weighed down by gravity. I feel one more clan battle. I can see it die myself. True. That's me. I'm just like Shar.
Clan battles, man, you should have been there.
You gotta be there for the clan battles, bro. Uh, well, any final thoughts on the
Did I already tell
on
you
the
about
clan battle arc? Yeah, go on.
uh probably, but it's fine. What do you think about the children gambling? What do you think about the degeneracy of the youth?
Oh,
The total
gotcha. The
aimlessness
gotcha
of it.
chick. She's
I
like,
feel like it's I kind of feel like it's observed. It's good.
yeah.
Um,
I thought it was
I mean,
interesting that Machu's friends were
it's like
like,
kind of hilariously currently a uh like an increasing problem in at least in the United States that like sports gambling is getting like way the fuck out of control. And there's like a
dude,
lot of
the
young people
children
that are
yearn
into
for
it.
clan battles. I'm telling you,
It's true.
they're just
It's
dying to
true.
get 'em.
Uh,
I thought it was funny that this was an interesting scene. Machu is like in school, and her friend shows up, and she's like, "Dude, I got so much money from from my clan battle, from my gotcha." Um, and then all her friends are like, "Dude, what the fuck? It's awesome." And then the friend, because she has like money from this gotcha thing, she's like, "Oh, I could
wait, no,
maybe."
what was it even a like a clan battle
No, it wasn't. It
gambling?
wasn't.
I thought it was
I'm just
just like
saying.
an online casino.
I just, my brain turned off, and I went back to getting excited about clan battles. Um, she's just like, I got all this gotcha money. I'll invite you guys to go out. And then Machu's kind of quiet, but like, the implication has been probably that Machu probably has more money than them because she's been making money off of clan battles, the true gotcha that the children want. Uh, so it's funny that like Machu's kind of close
I
to,
don't think it matters that much because it's well, at least for the initial one, she had to pay shit off,
yeah.
and like
Well, they had to pay for her. Well, the other girl had Enya had to pay for her phone. So
I think they're all just rich. I think all the kids in that school are just implied to sort of be rich.
I don't know. Maybe. Hey, I mean, wouldn't be the
It's an
first
all
time,
girls
right?
school. They're all going to like after school. Um, what is it fucking called? Like prep, not prep school, not cram school.
Oh yeah, she does
They're all
mention
going to
like.
cram school, so all their parents have money to go to cram school.
I guess
They're all fucking rich.
yeah.
That's the shtick, and it of course also mirrors Camille.
Machu is getting
Who,
a lot of money from this though, and she's sort of just like probably just sitting on it. So the idea that like her friends are sort of going like, "Dude, I got so much money, let's go out," and she's just like, I'm secretly a crypto millionaire. They can't know this." Um,
no, I think I think the idea is that like the scene opens with her looking at her whatever the fuck application form where she's being asked like, what do you want to do when you become an adult, and then like she's having difficulty with it, and then
she wants to be a
her
jellyfish.
peers appear around her and are like, I'm addicted to fucking gambling at age
Based.
16. And it and I think like rather bluntly the idea is just supposed to be like
We don't
um
know what we're
the
doing. These
youth
kids don't know what
broadly
they're doing.
don't are directionless. They
Yeah.
don't feel like they can become adults.
Yeah, I thought like maybe I'm just sitting too much into it, but like I thought it was an interesting way to introduce it. But yeah, the jellyfish thing is interesting. Obviously, Mature has kind of like an affinity to the ocean. She
Mm.
mentions like the ocean to Neon. Neon's like not very interested. Um, yeah, I wonder where that's going. That I mean, it seems like they'll go to Earth at some point. Um, that's why I'm. It's sort of weird to me that it's gonna have like the normal structure of a Tomino anime because it feels like Earth is too much of a destination right now. Whereas like with Tomino,
They're just gonna get abducted onto the Xeon White Base, and then the Xeon White Base is gonna take them there. That's
I feel
literally
like it's never
they're gonna go hang out with Garma, and he's gonna be like, "Yo, what's up?
has it ever been a like
Me, I'm on Earth. Here's the Xeon territory on Earth. What's up?"
do you think characters from the other show are just gonna show up directly like that and interact with the new ones? I feel like the old show has been so
I mean,
clear.
not like he's gonna like invite him into their room, and they're like, "Hey, it's me. I'm this
I
guy."
don't know if
But like,
Machu is gonna ever talk to like an old character that's not Bull, Shalabul, Shia LaBeouf. Um,
he's definitely gonna talk to Shar at least.
I don't know.
Because that's Char's thing is that he talks to the young people.
Do you think do I don't know. How would they do that? Would they have like a new design for Char? Because like even Shia LaBeouf's
He just
design
wears a mask.
in the second episode is different, right? Shia LaBeouf in the second
Yeah,
episode doesn't
but he's
really look
older.
like Shia LaBeouf, Shia LaBeouf in episode 3 or 4. Do you think they're gonna just like Pokemon Char? You're just gonna talk to Pokemon
I don't think
Char?
they need to. I
They-
think they can just bullshit it by having
like Yasuhiko Char and normal as Machu?
just don't take his mask off.
He's gonna look weird though.
Nah, it'll be fine.
I don't think so, actually. I think they kind of have to like adapt him to like the new design style because episode 2
I don't
is
know.
more of like a it's like visually an homage too. It feels like literally separate from the dogmas of the show, like visually. Um,
I think that you're too worried about how they're going to make visual expression work, and you're like not looking at it from what's kind of narratively necessary or narratively to be
but obviously
expected.
these are people that like would go the extra mile. They would not do it. I just don't believe that like these guys would be like, oh yeah, we're bringing Shar back to talk to Machu. He's gonna be like a weirdo freak. If so, why even do it at the start, right? Like, why not just like have the show look like that? I feel like there's a strong distinction of like the time that had passed.
Dharma, hey, our tour bus broke down, and we were wondering if we could crash the night. Thanks, post
Yeah, they're gonna toil. Machu's gonna toil. Is that what the term? Toil a car. Fix fucking Char's
total.
car. Total, yeah, sorry. She's gonna fix Char's car, even though she can't. Char's gonna be like, "Hey, can you help me out with my car?" And Machu's gonna be like, "I'm literally stupid. I have no idea." And this is the true divergence of the
Char
timeline.
says, "Don't worry, I can't drive." But
puts hand on shoulder. Don't worry, I can't drive. I'm also
I've
very
told you
dumb.
that lore bit before, haven't I?
Yeah, of course. He
Yeah.
can't drive. He doesn't drive ever. He rides horses around. That's his thing. Lala, check it out. Lala, can you drive me to the store? I need to go buy something. And she happily agrees. Do you think we'll see Lala? See, I think we'll see Lala before we see Char. I actually don't know if we'll see Char ever again in the show, but maybe we will. I don't know. He's 20. It's a Toyota girl. Yeah, true. Which he can't
It's
drive.
true.
Char's gonna show up like
Um,
Sonic at the end of Brawl, and he's gonna say nothing. He's just gonna wag his finger.
yeah, Lala's here. I don't know. I don't know to what I feel like they're gonna at least show up as ghosts or some shit. Tell both of them.
He's just gonna be like, I actually died. That's it. I just straight up died. I feel like Lala's
I
alive.
think
Lala's
the idea
like
with the
Lala
show
has to be
is like
alive.
a sense of like
Now we're getting into
what if
stupid.
scenario or just like a feeling of what if. And to that end, I think so far the show's idea is like, what if Char had never met Lala? At least not initially. What if Char had never met Amuro, particularly? What if Amuro had simply never entered Char's life? What then? And the result,
You'll see
I
wins.
I think Amuro's not going to show up.
No,
I think
Amura's definitely not gonna show up.
it will actually be garbage if Amuro shows up.
Amura's not gonna
Because
show up because he's nothing. He's just like a
I'm
little.
talking about this like a fucking idiot. Whatever though.
No, it's good. We're getting into stupid like just fan theories now. There's no way they're bringing that back, Amuro or anybody in the white base, because like white base has been established as like none of those guys ever did anything probably related to war at all. They probably just like ran out, and the white base is just this thing that we like that Zeon captured, and that's it. So like that story just never happened. Um, I don't
Yeah.
I don't think we'll see Char because it feels weird. We might though. I don't know. He might show up like at the very end. Um, I think we'll see Lala. I feel like Lala's like the big like. Well,
I
obviously,
feel like
if
if
we're
you,
gonna have a story of,
I
of
feel like if you'd seen one scene in the movie version, you would probably agree with me a bit more.
oh
Although
really
I'm not sure.
maybe okay maybe if they literally show Lala's like head fucking explode in the movie or something. I guess we don't see her. I guess maybe
No,
we'll see
it's
it.
vice versa that I think. Well,
Don't spoil me.
don't worry
Whatever.
about it
Don't
since you
worry.
don't want to be spoiled. I guess.
Yeah. And then
Goes
Machu
and
grows
does sure
up and
thing.
has a kid named Seabook. True, he brings it around to his favorite one. It's like finally, I can canonize F91 as like the true point of beauty of the entire arc, the entire series.
I
All right,
suppose so.
well, I guess we'll wrap up. Final thoughts?
Um. Hmm,
You love clan battles.
I don't know. I got nothing. That's about it. I guess.
All right, brothers. See you next week when we continue our fucking clan battle streams or clan battle appreciation streams.
Wow.
Blattle, bladder. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.